Okay, in the previous chapter, we discussed about evolution of programming, what is a program, and we discussed different types of programming available, and then looked at a problem to solve the area of a rectangle, and we saw how we can write a program in a computing environment. In this chapter, we will talk about procedural programming and discuss about what is a function and how we can use procedural program to solve the area of a rectangle. So we will understand how to write a procedural program and get an essence of procedural programming before we go into object-oriented programming. Procedural programming is about solving a problem by writing different functions. So let's look at what is a function. So a function defines a solution to a problem and it takes data as parameters. We already discussed that data is required for any solution, or any problem is identified with some specific significant data. So as parameters, and it solves the problem and returns the result. So that is a primary objective of a particular function. So now, in a procedural programming environment, there will be a main function. So main function is like an entry point to the programming environment, and it takes optional parameters. Like if you want to pass certain parameters, yes, you may pass those specific parameters, and internally it will invoke other functions that are required to solve the problem. For example, you could see that the main function actually is entry point to the particular program and has the relevant data that is required for solving a problem, and will also have different functions which it would be invoking and it will interact. So this is the way in which a procedural language typically work. So now let us go ahead and solve our problem with rectangle problem that we basically took in the previous video. So how does the application program looks like? So now we have the data points. So we need to have the length, we have the width, we have the area, and we need to write a function called compute area. So let us see how we have solved this problem in a simple procedural language like C. So we have a main function, and here we have a function called compute area, and in the compute area we have length and width which is passed as parameter, and what you are expected is basically you are returning the area, which is nothing but the multiplication or the product of length and width. So you just return length times width as a simple statement in the programming environment, and that is what area is all about. Now let us look at the data that is required to be initialized. So in the main function you also have length, width, which is basically integers, which are nothing but numbers, and you also have a statement which specifies I am calling the compute area, passing the length and width, and it has got the computed output, which is area. So this is a very simple mechanism of how we can solve the problem. And after solving the problem, I also have a statement which will print this particular output, just like how a calculator gives the moment you say 10 into 20, for example, and is equal to, it will basically print the same way. In a programming world, we have a simple mechanism of displaying the output via a printf statement, for instance. So this is the way in which you can solve a problem using a procedural programming.